Welcome back, everyone. Today we're taking a closer look at a name that's been generating a lot of conversation online. Life coach and dating coach Cheyenne Bryant. This isn't the first time her story has come up in commentary spaces. She's been discussed across multiple platforms, and for good reason. In a relatively short period of time, Cheyenne Bryant went from being largely unknown to landing interviews on major podcasts and appearing alongside well-known public figures, all while positioning herself as an expert in life and relationship advice. Now, that kind of rapid rise naturally raises questions, especially when the person offering the advice appears to have some significant inconsistencies in their own personal life. According to what's been reported and discussed publicly, Bryant has been involved in an on-and-off relationship with a younger man for roughly 5 years, and various commentators have noted other details about her personal life that seem to contradict the image she projects professionally. The concern many people have raised is straightforward. Should someone be offering relationship and life coaching if their own situation doesn't reflect the advice they're giving? That question has become a lot more pressing now because something recent has pushed this conversation to a whole new level. Bryant appeared on Joe Budden's podcast, and that appearance is currently going viral, but not for the reasons she probably hoped. A licensed professional took issue with the credentials Bryant has been presenting publicly. Specifically, one of the degrees she claimed appears to be tied to an institution that no longer exists. There was a period when a large number of online colleges operated, many of which have since shut down or lost accreditation, and this situation seems to connect to that era. We'll be looking at a clip from that podcast appearance, as well as the response from the licensed professional who called it out directly. What makes this particularly notable is Bryant's reaction. She reportedly showed up in the comments section of a Black female professionals community, a space where her qualifications would be scrutinized by people who actually hold verified credentials in these fields. That alone tells a story. Her ability to gain access to influential spaces, build connections, particularly with men in prominent positions, and present herself as an authority figure is something commentators have been pointing to for a while now. There's a pattern here that a lot of people are just now catching on to. So let's get into the clip. You can watch and draw your own conclusions, and we'll also hear directly from the licensed professional who responded to what Bryant said on that podcast.
A license. Right now I'm in private practice, I'm saying. And that's what people don't understand, right? So just to educate some folks a little bit.
Hello, my name is Dr. Raquel Martin. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist, professor of sciences, and podcast host who specializes in Black health and well-being. And I want to break down a clip from the Joe Budden podcast featuring someone who presents herself as Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. But before we dive in, I want to make something incredibly clear. Having a doctorate does not mean someone is a licensed mental health professional. You can have a doctorate in literature and be unlicensed. You can have a doctorate in education and hold an LPC, being a licensed professional counselor, and you are a licensed mental health professional, and you are still a doctor, but your doctorate is not in psychology. When evaluating anyone's credentials, it's really critical to look at two things: what their doctorate is actually in, and whether they hold a relevant clinical license. In this case, the person you're about to hear from is unlicensed. I'm going to break down why that matters and why this particular message is harmful, especially to the Black community that she claims to be serving and that I actually serve.
A license is really only needed so you can bill insurance.
That is incredibly misleading. Yes, you do need a license to bill insurance, but that is not why licensure exists. Licensure protects you. It means I have completed specific education and supervised clinical hours, passed rigorous exams, and I'm accountable to a regulatory board. If I breach confidentiality, if I cross ethical boundaries or harm you, you have somewhere to file a complaint and be sure that I'm held accountable. A license is not paperwork just for billing. It's a consumer protection. When someone drops or loses or no longer has a license, they're not solely avoiding the insurance hassle. They're also removing your recourse if something goes terribly wrong.
Not binded by BBS, the Behavior Board Science Rules and Regulations and Ethics. And so it just opened up a whole nother...
By the way, when Cheyenne Bryant starts stuttering, you know who... You know it's a lie when she starts stuttering, right?
floor in industry for me.
And she's also saying this like it's a good thing. I want to state something really important. Ethics codes exist to protect you from exploitation and boundary violation and providers practicing outside of their competence. When someone celebrates being free from ethical oversight, I want you to think of that as a red flag, a flashing one. It's a warning sign because those rules exist because real harm happens when they're not in place. So celebrating that you don't have to be accountable to that should be concerning to you.
As a therapist, two things: you can obviously make what you deserve, because therapy is real. We're giving everything we have in there, and we're unpacking shit, and we're helping you process through things. So it's not us sitting there, well, if you're an effective therapist, saying, tell me more. You should be unpacking, and you should be able to take somebody and drive with them to their goal.
And here's another thing. She keeps calling herself a therapist, and in most states, that's actually illegal without a license.
Right. Like, you're not a real therapist, but she keeps saying it. And nobody's checking her on that, right? Like, I saw a clip where Joe Budden had spoke after this thing blew up, and he was kind of making fun of it. And one of the guys on the panel was like, she's a friend of the show, we shouldn't be talking about her. Just lame, right? So what? You can't call her out? You're supposed to be media. You're supposed to be impartial media, quote unquote. Why do you care about whether you upset her or not? She's out here claiming titles that she doesn't really have. It should be called out.
You cannot legally use the title therapist or provide psychotherapy without licensure. What she's describing now is coaching, and coaching and therapy are fundamentally different. Coaches help with goals and accountability. Therapists are trained to diagnose and treat mental health conditions, trauma and depression and psychosis. If someone with untreated bipolar disorder or PTSD thinks they're getting therapy from a coach, they're going to be seriously harmed. These are actual conditions that go undiagnosed and untreated, especially within the Black community.
So that's essentially where things stand with this situation. And to be clear, this isn't about having a personal vendetta against Cheyenne Bryant. The focus here is on the pattern, and more importantly, the facts. By most accounts, Bryant's rise in these spaces has been driven largely by her image and her networking ability. She's clearly skilled at presenting herself confidently and gaining access to influential circles. That part isn't really in dispute. The problem is what she's been presenting herself as once she gets into those rooms. When someone positions themselves as a credentialed authority, implying therapeutic or clinical expertise, and uses that positioning to speak down to audiences as though she holds knowledge they simply don't, that deserves scrutiny, especially when the credentials being implied don't appear to hold up under examination. At the end of the day, what Bryant appears to be is a social media influencer, and there's nothing inherently wrong with that. But there's a meaningful difference between being an influencer with a large platform and being a licensed, credentialed professional, and blurring that line, intentionally or not, is where the real issue lies. Now, Bryant did respond publicly to the backlash. Here's what she wrote, and this is a direct quote from her post. "I don't need a license because I'm not a therapist. I am a psychology expert and life coach. I don't understand what's so hard for people to grasp about that. Coaches do not need a license. I do not identify as a therapist. My bio does not say therapist. My website does not say therapist anywhere on it. It clearly says psychology expert and life coach." And technically, she's right that life coaches are not required to be licensed. That part is accurate. Coaching is an unregulated field, and anyone can legally call themselves a coach. But here's where it gets complicated. The title psychology expert is doing a lot of heavy lifting in that statement. Expertise in psychology is typically demonstrated through verified academic credentials and professional experience in the field. Simply self-applying the label, particularly when the academic background being cited is questionable, is a different matter entirely. That's the core of what people are responding to. It's not that she calls herself a coach, it's that the framing she uses, the titles, the tone, the way she engages audiences on these platforms consistently implies a level of clinical authority that doesn't appear to be backed up by verifiable qualifications. And that's exactly why this keeps coming back around. When you build a platform on a version of yourself that doesn't fully match reality, the gaps eventually surface. That's what we're watching play out right now. Drop your thoughts in the comments, genuinely curious what you all make of this. If you found this video useful, give it a like and share it with someone who'd be interested. Check out the other videos on the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.